The movie begins in Florida, 2011. We see a woman, Liza, in her car heading towards a strip club as she currently works as a performer at the club. During her shift at the club, Liza makes acquaintance with a man who seems quite upfront and brash about the money he makes and how he can change anyone's fortune. This man introduces himself as Pete Brenner, a senior executive at a pharmaceutical company named Zanna. Impressed by the quick wits and charm of Liza, Pete offers her an opportunity to work for him, stating that she can earn $100,000 with him. Liza obviously has had enough men give her such offers, and so she does not pay any heed to Pete at all. Liza has been living in her sister, Andy's garage for the last 2 months. This irritates Andy since Liza had only asked for shelter for a week, and it leads to an argument between the two. Liza and her daughter, Phoebe, move out of the garage and settle in a cheap motel room in an extremely shady and hostile neighborhood. In the morning, her car is towed away due to her being unable to continue with the installments, and she finds herself at a complete loss. However, Liza is determined to make something out of her life. Liza calls up Pete Brenner, and when he does not respond, she finds out about his office on the internet and reaches the place in order to get hired. Pete and the lead investor in the company, Dr. Jack Neal, face a set of new investors that they want on board. Although Pete had boasted about the financial capabilities of his company back at the strip club, Zanna was actually making heavy losses for quite some time now, and none of their efforts were helping as no doctor is willing to prescribe their drugs, in spite of the fact that their painkiller drug, Lonafin, had been found to be the opiate with the least side effects and addictive nature by an established researcher. And she meets up with Pete about the job that he had offered her. They both head inside and Pete collects Liza's CV. He goes though it finds out that she lacks academic qualifications, and also expertise in the pharmaceutical field of business. Knowing that his bosses would not readily show the same confidence, Pete modifies Liza's CV with exorbitant lies about her holding a PhD degree and other certificates of academic excellence. He then takes her to meet with Jack Neal, who is also quite pleased with her charming personality. Liza is immediately given a job at Zanna, but she has to prove herself in the first 7 days, or else she will be fired. Her objective is simple enough: she should manage to sign a contract with at least one doctor that would guarantee that they would prescribe Lonafin to their patients. The following days, Liza tries to convince doctors to prescribe their drug, Lonafin, to their patients, but it wasn't going too well, as doctors prefer companies that send younger and more attractive women as representatives than Liza. There is absolutely nothing positive for Liza in the first couple of days of her job. Rather, there is an added complication that creates more problems for her, as her daughter Phoebe suddenly has a seizure one day. As the girl is rushed to a specialist doctor, she is diagnosed with a tangle of blood vessels in her brain. Although the doctor states that there is no urgency to operate on her right away, the doctor advises Liza to keep things calm and stable at home. Liza now has to give her everything in order to get a doctor on board, and she makes use of a sudden situation that she stumbles across. One of the most popular doctors in the area, Nathan Liddell, had been prescribing some other opiates to his patients, and at this particular instance, one of his patients and his wife came complaining about how the painkiller was not having any effect and was rather making the patient addicted. Liza steps in at this very time, talking about the benefits of her company's Lonafin. Pressured by the patient's wife, Liddell signs a deal with Zanna and prescribes the opioid. Very soon, speaker programs are arranged for Liddell, and more doctors start siding with the pharma company. Liza employs a set of women and men to be representatives under her. Even her mother, Jackie, also joins the team as a sales rep. The representatives also help convince more and more doctors to sign a deal with Zanna and prescribe the opiates to their patients. While Zanna had been close to becoming a financial failure, Liza's efforts turns out to boost the company's fortune. After this grand success, Liza enjoys a rapid growth in her lifestyle, as she and Phoebe soon move into a luxury condo rented by the company. She also buys for her mom a new car. One day, during a meeting with Jack Neal, the boss of Zanna Company, one of his senior employees tells him how Liza lied about her CV and her previous job at the strip club. Jack refuses to reason what he said, but instead he promotes Pete as the new CEO of the company, and Liza as the vice president of sales. The woman starts to enjoy her work. Meanwhile, the company keeps growing as they enjoy more success than they ever imagined. I hope you're enjoying this video. Please subscribe or follow this channel or page. Now let's continue. One day, Jack tells Liza and Pete that they should also use the Lonafin drug on other patients with different pain, so they make it official to other representatives. But Liza isn't happy about this idea. Liza now has to prescribe Lonafin even to those not diagnosed with cancer, and those not even needing such high-powered opiates. During Phoebe's dance practice, she again starts to have a seizure. Liza rushes to her and tries to calm her down before going to meet the doctor. The doctor tells them Phoebe's health is deteriorating and she needs the operation as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Dr. Nathan Liddell is arrested by an undercover cop for writing fake prescriptions for opioids. Liza goes to Neil seeking monetary help. However, the billionaire investor insensitively tells her to use her pains as fuel to work harder. And this personal disillusionment makes Liza realize that she has been working for an evil corporation. However, the woman does have a change of heart when she starts to see the effect that Zanna and Lonafin have on common people. One of the neighbors from her motel room dies because of his Lonafin addiction, and this affects Liza a lot. Moreover, she seems to have guilt in her conscience when her mother sleeps with Jack Neal, only to earn more commission from her sales. In a way, Liza realizes she is even selling her mother away to the corporates, and although she expresses anger at Jackie at the moment, she also questions her own choices. An investigation by state prosecutors was already underway against Zanna Pharma, and Liza now approaches the authority about all she knows about the company. She is told to secure any documents that would prove that Pete, Neil, or any of the company's seniors were involved in malpractice. Liza manages to steal some documents bearing the same information, but is then caught by Pete. Interestingly, Pete never switches sides, and he continues to claim innocence for himself as well as his employers. Although the investigation hones in on most of the senior employees at Zanna Pharma, the head investor, Jack Neal, still manages to be free as no evidence against him has been found yet. Meanwhile, Liza arranges the money for Phoebe's operation, and the procedure is successfully conducted as well. It is during a discussion with Jackie that Liza suddenly realizes how her mother can prove Neil's malpractices. Earlier, when Jackie had been directly contacting Neil about paying her as much commission as the other women, she had written detailed emails about the practices followed by the sales representatives. These practices were very much illegal, and the fact that Neil had replied to one such email meant that he knew about these wrongdoings. These emails are turned in as evidence, and the prosecution uses this piece of information to finally arrest Jack Neal. The investor is given a prison sentence of 5.5 years, while Pete had already taken the fall earlier and was imprisoned. During the court trial, Liza accepts that she had worked for the company only for money, and even the prosecution appeals that the woman not be given any prison sentence. However, the court finds Liza's actions to be deserving of 15 months in prison, and the protagonist does have to spend time in jail. When Liza is released from prison, she starts her own business along with Jackie in which they sell skincare products. Some of the sales representatives from Zanna have also been hired by this new business in order to help them earn a livelihood. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe or follow this channel or page.